Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. My name's Toby,
And I'm Seth.
and we are the SwineyBro.
We welcome you to the SwineyBros podcast.
So, hopefully you had a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. No, we are not dead. For those of you wondering, sometimes life just gets in the way and you got to deal with life. But either way, we're back for episode 14. Can you believe it's 14 episodes in? A lot has happened in the last 3 weeks. A lot of firings, a lot of questionable games, and some questionable decisions at head coaching. So, Seth, go ahead and just jump right into it. What's happened around the NFL?
Good morning on this January 9th edition of Breaking News. Happy New Year, everybody. You know what it is. It's time to get rid of dead weight. It's time to fire some coaches. So let's talk about what's been going on in the league the last few weeks. This should not come as a surprise to most people, but the Raiders announced that they have relieved head coach Pete Carroll of his duties. Pete Carroll was the head coach for the Las Vegas Raiders for only one season. He led the team to a 3-14 record, resulting in his dismissal after just his first year. Much respect to Pete Carroll. I think it's time to retire and enjoy life a little bit. Secondly, everybody saw this coming. If you're surprised by this, then you haven't been paying attention at all. But the Cardinals have decided to part ways with head coach Jonathan Gannon. He served as the coach for the Cardinals for 3 seasons. And after posting a 15-36 overall record, including his 3-14 finish in his final 2025 season, the Cardinals said, "See you, bye, pal. Nice to know you." This one kind of threw me off a little bit. I thought it was a little, quick, but, everybody's got their wants and desires. But the Falcons decided to fire their head coach, Raheem Morris, and also their general manager. Raheem Morris served as the Atlanta's head coach for 2 seasons. After leading the team to 8-9 records in both the 2024 and 2025 seasons, he was very consistent. So, not really sure there. It's not like he really dipped way down. He stayed consistent for 2 seasons. So, that's got to be hopeful. The Falcons are the first team to end a season on a 4-game winning streak and then change coaches. Since the 2021 Raiders. So when the 2021 Raiders won their last 4 games under interim coach, I'm not even going to try to say his name. He took over for John Gruden, and then the Raiders hired Josh McDaniels the next season. They went 6-11. 4-game winning streak at the end, and you're going to let the guy go. Oh, well. Moving right along. This one could win either way. It's just a preference thing, I guess. Cleveland Browns has decided to part ways with their head coach, Kevin Stefanski. He served as the Cleveland Browns head coach for 6 seasons. Oh, he was hired in January of 2020, so he's got a lot of phone calls from what I've read online, so I don't think he's going to have any problems finding a job. I know a lot of Titans fans are interested in signing Mr. Stefanski to the squad. Also, thank God it's about time. The Dolphins have parted ways with head coach Mike McDaniel. The fact that they fired their general manager and then we're talking about keeping him on and even keeping him on in the hunt for the general manager was ludicrous to me. Now they finally, it's like, all right, it's time to let this guy go. However, I did find this very interesting. If I can find it. Here it is. Mike McDaniel served as the coach for 4 seasons with the Miami Dolphins, and he has an overall record of 35-35. So he is dead even for his wins and losses.
Very mediocre.
But I thought that was a very interesting stat. 35-35. And he also went 0-2 in the playoffs, but he still went. So,
other teams don't.
I heard, I don't know that it'll go very far, that the Detroit Lions were interested in interviewing him for an offensive coordinator spot. So since they let Johnny Morton go, well, that would be interesting. John Campbell and Mike McDaniel. What a combo. Let's see. And this was the biggest shock to me. Baltimore Ravens has decided to let go of Mr. Harbaugh. I mean, 8 15 seasons. And you're going to let the guy go over a missed field goal? That's kind of harsh.
15 minutes after he got fired, he got a call from 7 different NFL teams wanting to interview
Oh,
him.
I know. Like, he's not going to have any trouble finding a job, though. I don't know. I don't understand. 18 seasons, a record of 180 wins and 113 losses. So he had more wins than he did losses. He had 12 playoff appearances, 4 AFC title games, and 1 Super Bowl championship. And you're going to let
Pretty
the guy
good.
go because Tyler Loop missed a field goal and the Steelers went to the playoffs?
And half your team was hurt all season.
You know, crazy. But I'm really curious to see where he lands. 25% of the NFL is looking for a new head coach right now.
Holy cow.
You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams, including the Miami Dolphins, the Atlanta Falcons, the Tennessee Titans, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Arizona Cardinals, the Baltimore Ravens, the Cleveland Browns, and the New York Giants. Wouldn't it be funny if John Harbaugh went to the Cleveland Browns?
That would be comedic. What is it? Do we like to say poetic justice?
I've got 2 more items of interest for breaking news. As everyone is probably well aware, defensive end for the Cleveland Browns, Myles Garrett, has made history and is the new NFL season sack leader with 23 sacks.
Crazy.
Leading the top. I've heard a lot of complaints from a few people over that sack against Joe Burrow, but, you know, haters going to hate.
Yep.
And then the most interesting piece of news here for the week is the Jets. The New York Jets are the first team in NFL history to not record a single interception in a full season. 0 interceptions all season. And that's all I have for today's episode of Breaking News.
Well, let's go touch a few things. I was actually talking about this. Where do you all think that Harbaugh should go? Firstly, just comment down below. Let us know. Personally, I think it would be absolutely hilarious if he went to the Browns. But if you looked at, I'm assuming who's called him, I'm just going to take wild guesses and say the Titans, the Cardinals, the Giants. Realistically, probably the Falcons, maybe even the Cleveland Browns. I would if I was the Browns. But in terms of talent and potential, it would be insane to see him at the Falcons. I think that would be crazy. But honestly, if I was going in order of who to go to, I'd put Cardinals at number 1. I'd put the Giants right beneath them, and I'd put the Browns or the Falcons right beneath them. The Browns have a lot of problems, clearly. But they have a lot of talent. There's a lot of young talent on all of these teams, especially the Giants. I think him with Jackson Dart would be pretty crazy to see. But to add to that little breaking news, I found this out last night. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers fired their first-year offensive coordinator, Josh Grizzard. They also fired their special teams coordinator, their quarterbacks coach, their defensive line coach, and their cornerbacks coach.
Good grief.
And they also probably, realistically, forced their senior offensive consultant, Tom Moore, who is 87 years old, to retire after 62 years of coaching, and their safeties coach also retired. Yeah. So there's that. But truthfully, with the Ravens, I was talking to someone at work the other day about it. I figured it was either going to be Lamar Jackson that goes or Harbaugh, and I think they made their choice. It felt like they were going to pick somebody, and you definitely don't want to get rid of Lamar Jackson. Though, honestly, Lamar Jackson did seem like he was maybe a little over it. You feel for him there. Maybe they make a good choice. Either way, the Falcons, honestly, firing their general manager makes sense when they paid Kirk Cousins what they paid, and then they drafted Michael Penix Jr. That was probably still, honestly, one of the worst draft picks I think I've ever seen and one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. So that makes sense. Firing the head coach, I don't know. If you guys remember at the beginning of when we started the podcast, I thought the Falcons were going to be crazy this year. So you got to go into it with looking at, okay, talent, how did they perform? Yeah, he's been consistent, but he's been consistently mediocre. Kind of similar to Mike McDaniels, but it's all up for interpretation. The general manager did not surprise me. The head coach firing, I thought that was maybe a little premature, but being a head coach in the NFL is a very head-hunting job. It's very difficult even for the best of the best, and as soon as things go downhill, you're the first person that gets blamed. So you make a lot of money, though. So either way, let's jump into the next segment. So I don't know how you all did in your fantasy football leagues. Seth and I placed respectively 3rd and 4th in our league. Seth won the tiebreaker against me for the third place game. Unfortunately, both of us would have won in the finale had we been in it based off our point scores, but such is the life of fantasy football. But this season has had a lot of surprising players and a lot of breakout players and a lot of downward trending players. Players that clearly did not perform up to the standard that they were given pre-draft. Obviously, we could make this list extremely long, but we're going to keep it down to like 8 or 10 people just to kind of go over our favorites and our least favorites. So, starting off, Seth, what do you got for your busts?
All right, I'll give you one of my biggest busts. This guy was very highly anticipated at the beginning of the year. And probably one of the biggest disappointments would have to be the Steelers running back, Caleb Johnson, who amassed a grand total of 5 fantasy points for the 2025 season. He had 28 attempts, 69 yards, and 0 touchdowns. Rough. Really rough. And then I would have to put I'll give you 2 more. I've got a long list, but I'll give you 2 more and let you talk about some of yours. We talked about him in episode 1, and I wasn't all in on him. You were a little bit more optimistic about him than I was, as was a lot of people, understandably, given, the fact that he's under the great Sean Payton. Evan Ingram. 96 total fantasy points, averaged 6 fantasy points a game, 50 receptions, 461 yards, and only 1 touchdown. That blew my mind. And then the biggest one, another good one that everybody was just like, oh, he's going to be a solid rookie. I wasn't really all in on either, was Mr. Travis Hunter.
Oof.
62 fantasy points, average of 8.9 fantasy points a game. 28 receptions, 298 yards, 1 touchdown. In his defense, though, I will say, after week 7, he got an LCL tear in practice from a non-contact injury and had to have season-ending surgery. So he didn't get to play a full season, but however, he still didn't play up to everybody's expectations.
I mean, me and Seth both at the beginning of the year kind of had major doubts about Travis Hunter, and it's fantastic how athletic the dude is. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it's crazy, but in the NFL, you're talking people that literally are in the prime athletic peak of their physical performance in every position. And playing both wide receiver and cornerback doesn't mean you're not capable, but realistically, you can't be that shocked the dude got hurt. I mean, it's just, you're talking extreme, strenuous movement in your ligaments, especially on turf, on a regular basis, having to cut, especially playing defensive or cornerback is one of the most difficult positions in the NFL. If you don't believe me, go watch a YouTube video with Sauce Gardner. It's crazy the stuff you got to do at cornerback, and let alone wide receiver. I mean, that's a lot of nonstop tension and workload on your tendons, on your muscles, and especially this year with injuries. But either way, I'll be quiet about that for now. My number 1 overall fantasy bust this year, Caleb Johnson is on my list. He's at a respectful number 2. The number 1 fantasy bust this year I had, without a doubt, was Brian Thomas Jr.
Absolutely.
I had him last year on my team, and I was like gun barreling trying to get him again this year. So thankful I didn't, because that dude has not underperformed, has completely went from up here to down here. It's like going from 14-3 to 3-14. Like, this dude had a horrendous season on a very talented team, on a playoff caliber team, and he's been arguably the quietest wide receiver in the NFL.
Yeah, we definitely gave him too much hype. Way too much hype.
So I'm not going to say he was like a one and done player, as it was his rookie year last year. I won't say that. but I'm not going to be trying to draft him next year. That's all I can tell you now. At number 2, Seth mentioned it. I won't go over it much. Caleb Johnson. I mean, the dude, we already got the stats for it. Very, very underwhelming to the point of if you drafted him, he probably got thrown on free agency like after a couple weeks because dude was running back number 3 all year long. Like they could have put him in at wide receiver or something, surely. Number 3. This was a little bit of a toss-up for me. I kind of had a hard time like ranking these, but I'm just doing it based off of previous seasons. And I know that they had quarterback injuries, so you can't blame them as much. But I got Justin Jefferson, a round 1 guaranteed pick for the last, 4 years?
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, Justin Jefferson, coming into the season, I was like, I don't really think Justin Jefferson's going to be that great. You know, you got J.J. McCarthy coming in. They don't really have that solid, and everybody's like, no, you gotta get him quick, and he just disappointed. He didn't do much this year, and he had a few standout games, a few games where he really contributed, but he was like a wide receiver flex, and sometimes probably should just been on the bench. I know you get quarterback injuries, and it's hard to decide, but I won't be looking to draft him next year either. Just throwing that out there. That's my first 3.
Okay, I also have Brian Thomas on my list. He was like, I was saving him for like last because, But Alvin Kamara.
Oh.
Alvin Kamara has been one of my fancy go-to guys. And if you go back to episode 1, I touch on that because I've had Kamara for years in my league, and I was like afraid to touch him because I had him last year, and he really underperformed this year. He got 93 fantasy points, averaged 8.5 fantasy points, but in week 12, he did suffer a knee and ankle injury and ended up getting an MCL sprain, and he didn't play again after November the 23rd. But even though he's on the downhill side, he was a big disappointment. And another big disappointment on my list was Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
102 fantasy points.
Gosh.
42 receptions for 530 yards, and he only was able to muster 1 touchdown. With Rashee Rice being on a 6-game suspension, he only got 1 touchdown for the whole season. That's insanity. And then 2 more, and I'll be done with my bust list. Kenneth Walker III. I would put him at a very, very, very low RB2. He just didn't cut the mustard. He was on my list to draft. I was a little iffy about him because of the feet, ankle problems he was having at the beginning of the season. But, I mean, he got 178 fantasy points. It could have been worse. It could have been better.
Yeah, I think he got better.
He got better as the year went on.
Yeah,
he was averaging 10.5 fantasy points. He was a good flex option.
Yeah, not bad, just not.
But he only got 5 touchdowns all year.
For a running back 1, I mean, RJ Harvey has that many touchdowns.
I'll tell you what, though, Zach Charbonnet, if Zach Charbonnet keeps going the way that he is, I mean, if you look at both of them, they're pretty equal, but I think Zach Charbonnet is going to take that RB1 role next season in Seattle. And then the biggest bust for me, especially after Austin Eckler got hurt, I really expected to see a breakout season from Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. 130 fantasy points. He's averaged 7.5 fantasy points. He got 805 yards and 8 touchdowns. Not terrible for a rookie year.
Bad.
Being the lone back, pretty much, I expected a lot more out of him. But those were my biggest busts of the season.
Seth's got a couple from my list. Evan Ingram, obviously, was on my list. I'm a huge Broncos fan. Evan Ingram, unfortunately, has done hardly anything this year. Troutman's done more. Let's see. Xavier Worthy was also on my list. I've kind of talked about him a lot throughout the year. He rode my bench after a few weeks, and I just never got rid of him. I tried, but nobody else wanted him for their reasons. I've got this one between Kenneth Walker. I actually placed one running back above him who was more disappointing to me, who was on my team, Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah,
one of the largest disappointments that I personally have ever drafted, right next to Xavier Worthy.
Especially after that big contract he got.
I burned a very early pick on him in the draft, and I was like, oh, dude, running back 1, the Panthers, clear as day, and oh, gosh. Terrible, terrible season. Terrible season. Another one. I normally don't throw in quarterbacks in here, but I had to pick Lamar Jackson. And I know it's like, oh, he got injured, but sometimes you just have to go over it. This dude has been like a top 3 fantasy quarterback almost every year. And I personally thought he was going to be the best year yet this year. And I know he got hurt. I got the hamstring. But even after his injury, he just didn't look the same. He was struggling. I don't know if it was a mental thing. I don't know if it was team chemistry, if there was tension in the locker room. It's hard to tell. But Lamar Jackson was like mid-tier in fantasy production. He went from mid-tier to like low-end tier. Like that was, in my eyes, unacceptable for a player caliber of Lamar Jackson and the talent that he had around him. I'm not going to say he had a terrible season, but he was pretty hyped coming into this year. I know the Chargers have a lot of talent around, but Ladd McConkey, I didn't think he had a fantastic year by no means. I think he was like solidly low end. Maybe you throw him in at flex. Maybe you don't. Maybe you keep him on the bench.
I don't think any of the Chargers wide receivers were anything to brag about as far as terms of fantasy football goes this year.
Like sometimes you have too much talent, and sometimes you just don't know who's going to catch the ball. And I think that was the Chargers every game. And I know Justin Herbert had that little stint where he hurt his hand and etc. But everyone was expecting Ladd McConkey to do tremendously better than he did. Last but not least, this one might shock a few people, maybe not. I got Saquon Barkley.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
compared to years prior, absolute bust.
Who was the 2 most hyped running backs coming into this year? You got to say Saquon Barkley was probably top 2, top 3 in terms of like his last year.
Absolutely.
Like, and you could argue Derrick Henry's on there. I'm not going to go down that route. But Saquon Barkley, in my eyes, was one of the most disappointing running backs this year. And it was like, there was such a stretch where he was getting like 40 rushing yards, 30 rushing yards, and that was it. And it's like running back 1 can't be dropping you 3 points for any hope of winning in playoffs, etc. So that was my biggest disappointments. I'll just start off with my number 1 overall excited pick of the year, breakout performer, set NFL records this year, and I drafted him. My number 1 shocking player of the year was Trey McBride.
Absolutely.
Absolute stud. This dude carried my teams more times than I would have liked to admit. I mean, he was dropping insane numbers. Him and my other number 2 right behind him were crazy this year, but my number 1 overall, without a doubt, shock factor included, had to be
308 fantasy points, averaged 18.1 fantasy points a game, 1,239 yards, 126 receptions, and 11 touchdowns.
Crazy. For a tight end, dude, on a Cardinals team that sucks.
He was the Cardinals team.
Craziness. You can come to the Broncos if you'd like to.
Awesome. Fantastic. I'll tell you my number 1 person that I picked, and it was probably the value pick of the draft. Drafted this individual in the 3rd round.
Ooh.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Jackson Smith and Jigba.
I can't believe that was the 3rd round pick.
352 fantasy points.
Shoo!
Averaged 20 points. I mean, he's not done because they're still playing.
Playoffs.
But for me, I got 100. He had 119 receptions, 1,793 yards, 10 touchdowns. That was my pick of the year. And I've got a lot of lists. And if you play fantasy football, you already know who the top guys are. But I'm going to tell you, there was 3 people that scored over 400 fantasy points this season. And these are the 3 people. Coming in, scoring the absolute highest fantasy points for this season with 434 fantasy points, averaging 25.5 fantasy points a game is Mr. Matthew Stafford. And I'm kicking myself because I can't tell you how many years I have drafted Matthew Stafford as my quarterback, and I didn't even touch him this year. It's like, I'm tired of this. He's not done anything for me except let me down. 434. Pulling in the rear at it's a tie between 2 other players at 402 fantasy points, both of them averaging 23.6 fantasy points a game, is Mr. Drake May and Mr. Christian McCaffrey. Oh man, like if this was the year to draft Christian McCaffrey, I mean, man, Like, if you'd have told me he was going to get 402 fantasy points, I said you're crazy.
That's a 6th round draft pick for Seth right there.
So congratulations to the Madison Marauders in my football league for drafting Christian McCaffrey first round. That was a well investment. And
Fantastic.
the sad thing is, this guy didn't even make the winners bracket for the playoffs. Had a guy on his team that got 402 fantasy points.
I also had Christian McCaffrey. He was my number 2 breakout performer of the year. I mean, just counting everything that happened with the 49ers this year, they are a Cinderella team, considering everything that happened, all the injuries, and Christian McCaffrey put everyone on his back like he always likes to do. Very similar to Josh Allen, except, he's a running back. At number 3 for me, I had JSN. I won't jump too much into it because Seth clearly mentioned him. At a solid number 4, I don't typically talk about quarterbacks, but Matthew Stafford was right there for me. I mean, the dude, except a couple bad games, was poised for an MVP performance. I thought he was going to win the MVP. I still think he is eligible to be determined at least for it, but a lot of people disagree now with that. Either way, I mean, the dude's fantastic. Number 5, at a respectable number 5, arguably one of the best performing wide receivers of this year's class has been Puka Nacua. Absolutely. I mean, Matthew Stafford had to get his points from somewhere, and a lot of it came from Puka.
He was the very last pick in the first round for our draft by the champion. The champion.
And at number 6, I had to go with a guy who kind of struggled a little bit towards the end, but I still put him up there just because of how crazy he was for most of the season. I had to put Jonathan Taylor. He struggled towards the end, and, I mean, you lose your starting quarterback, and the Colts just went bloop.
He still put up 349 fantasy points,
Yeah.
though.
And you just have to imagine, like, if Daniel Jones hadn't been hurt, he would have been in that 400-point category. I fully believe
1,585 yards.
Phew. Craziness. But that's my number 6. I got a few left. I'll let you.
I just kind of put mine just basically based on, who scored the most points. I already had Trey McBride on my list. He was my last one. Best tight end, obviously, by far. I also had Puka Nacua. I mean, he put up 365 fantasy points. Josh Allen put up 399 fantasy points and counting because, the Bills are still playing. 25 touchdowns. That's insane. 3,868 yards. Okay, this guy is going to be probably the number 2 pick of the draft next year, in my opinion.
Who in the world could that be?
Mr. Bijan Robinson. 358 fantasy points, 1,478 yards, 7 touchdowns. Awesome. And then I've got Jonathan Taylor on my list too. But the other 2 players that I had that hasn't been mentioned yet is I've got Lions. And I'll do one and save the other. Jahmyr Gibbs, 353 fantasy points, 1,223 yards, 13 touchdowns. Fantastic. He averaged 20.8 fantasy points a game, and I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Jahmyr Gibbs is literally a copy of Bijan Robinson.
And if I am not mistaken, I'm pretty sure that he put up the most fantasy points out of all the Lions.
I'm pretty sure he came, like, him and Bijan Robinson have to be related because, like, they are just, they look the same, they play the same, they produce the same. To close out my list, I also have Bijan Robinson, no doubt about it. I've got 3 shock picks that Seth probably doesn't have on his list. But I picked these simply out of either I had no clue even who they were before the season started, I did not expect them to perform like they did, or I did expect them to perform, and they still exceeded my expectations. But before I jump into those 3, my last of the Lions was Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Oh, absolutely. He was on
I had him on my list at last. I drafted him. I mean, dude's going to be...
first-round pick.
Oh, yeah. I got him at 7th. Was that 7th this year?
Something like that.
And that was probably one of my best first-round picks other than Jamar Chase last year. But either way, my last 3 shock picks has to be a member from the Cleveland Browns, Mr. Harold Fannin Jr.
Oh, yeah, arguably rookie of the year.
Absolute stud. I didn't even really know him until the season started. I thought it was going to be the David Njoku show, and this dude excelled on so many levels. I mean, at this point, if you draft a tight end from Cleveland, you just got to pick him because they're just going to excel. He wasn't the best tight end, of course, obviously, but he was incredible. For a rookie, I mean, couldn't have asked for much more. The dude wears number 44. Craziness. At number 2, I had to pick someone from the Steelers that wasn't crazy, but I thought he did better than I expected, especially considering everyone hyped Caleb Johnson up so much. I had to pick Kenneth Gainwell.
Oh, absolutely.
I think he was solid. I think he was arguably one of the best like mid-round picks that people weren't expecting a whole lot from. And then he just excelled tremendously. And he had that dual threat option of catching and also running. And with the Steelers, especially with their offensive woes, I thought he was the shining star of the Steelers this season. The Steelers are in the playoffs, so I mean, he still has more time to go. And last but not least, I wanted to draft him. I was unable to draft him. At first, he didn't have a great start to the season because he was in the backseat to Ramondre Stevenson, but I had to go with Trevion Henderson. Arguably one of the best rookie running backs we've seen right there with RJ Harvey this year. Absolute tremendous talent. He excelled. This dude has some of the craziest speed, breakout speed you could mention. And if Quinshon Judkins wouldn't have got hurt, I would have had him on this list. But Trevion Henderson cleared all the other running backs for me. Him and RJ Harvey have been highlights.
He started off slow, but as the year progressed, he really, really showed himself as a valuable asset. And I'm really curious to see what he does next year. Who, out of everybody that you picked up this year, not drafting, who was your waiver wire pick of the year?
Waiver wire pick of the year?
That you feel like you got off the waiver wire.
Christian Watson.
Christian Watson.
Other than his 0-point performance that caused me to lose to Seth in the third round game. Other than that, I couldn't believe I picked him up off the wire because he was dropping like 20-point games, 15-point games when he wasn't hurt. Definitely.
Okay, my waiver wire pick of the year for me, I got picked this person up off the waiver wire October the 17th.
Woo, early.
Was Dalton Schultz.
Oh, yeah.
Because I drafted Njoku and I drafted Andrews and they didn't do anything. I struggled hard in the tight end. I saw Dalton Schultz was sitting on the bench and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pick this guy up. And buddy, I tell you what, that was one of the best pickups that I did. He scored 169 fantasy points for the year.
Stud.
And just about every game, the dude put up double digits for me. He had a few bad games, but that was my waiver wire pick of the year for my team.
Heck
and,
yeah.
We might have some crazy takes, and we might have some outlandish comments from time to time, but me and Toby's been playing fantasy football, at least in our league, together for 10 years. I've been playing fantasy football longer than that. But, out of 12 people in a PPR format, we finished top 4. So, you can take what we say about fantasy football pretty seriously.
Started when I was, 13 or 14? 13. Craziness.
I got one more section on fantasy football, and I have entitled it The Golden Legs. These are the top 3 kickers in fantasy football this year. And I'm telling you, man, a kicker can make or break your team.
Yeah.
You get into a close matchup and you have a solid kicker that can win you the game right there.
Yeah.
So starting at the number 1 overall kicker for the Seattle Seahawks is Mr. Jason Myers, who put up a total of 195 fantasy points.
Crazy.
Averaged 11.5 a game.
Crazy.
The number 2, this was my Mr. Irrelevant pick. He was my very last pick of the draft, was Mr. Kaimi Fairbairn.
What a goat.
He put up 190 fantasy points, averaged 12.7 a game.
Doubling Xavier Worthy.
So on some of these, okay, Jason Myers made 41 field goals and 48 extra points. Kaimi Fairbairn made 44 field goals and 28 extra points.
Consistency.
And then the other one pulling up the rear, you can't go wrong with either one of these guys. I would have loved to have had this gentleman on my team, but he was not available. That was Mr. Brandon Aubrey.
Oh, of course.
With 181 fantasy points.
The soccer player turned football kicker.
10.5 fantasy points a game was his average. He made 36 field goals and 47 extra points. The golden legs. I'm telling you. Don't snooze on the kickers. I know so
Craziness.
many people that have fantasy leagues that want to take the kickers out, and I don't know why.
Craziness. If you ever heard the story, Brandon Aubrey is sitting on the couch watching a football game with his wife, and his wife's like, I think you could do that. Now the dude's kicking for the Dallas Cowboys. Sometimes it's all in your head. Crazy stories. Well, that wraps up fantasy football. Now we're jumping into the bread and butter. Ladies and gentlemen, it's playoff season in the NFL. One of the most fun and exciting playoffs I think we've personally had in years. So let's start off on the AFC flip side of things with the Buffalo Bills and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Arguably one of the hardest and probably most exciting matchups of the AFC in round one, just because both of these teams' track records. Trevor Lawrence is coming off of an outstanding season with Liam Cohen, and Liam Cohen has clearly made the Buccaneers feel his absence and completely turned his season around, has had one of his best seasons. He's got 29 touchdown passes with a respectful 12 interceptions, over 4,000 passing yards. The Jaguars are firing on all cylinders. Meanwhile, it's the Josh Allen show for the Buffalo Bills. Wide receiver room does not exist, but Dalton Kincaid and really, it's been the tight end show for the Buffalo Bills, and James Cook has been incredible. So, round one matchup between the Bills. It is in Jacksonville. Jacksonville has the higher seed. Who do you got?
I have to go with the Buffalo Bills.
No bias involved.
However, I will say that if the Buffalo Bills do not plug up some of the holes that's in their defense and play serious defense, Jacksonville will beat them. Jacksonville's got a better defense. Jacksonville's got a killer offense, especially since they signed Jacoby Myers and Rashid Shaheed. It's going to be a close game, but I'm telling you, if the Buffalo Bills snooze on just the slightest on their defense, Jacksonville's going to beat them and win this game.
So I do have an article coming out later this week, hopefully it gets posted today, about this AFC playoff predictions, and I include quite a bit of stats about this game, and I'm just going to briefly mention a couple of those. In round one playoff appearances, Josh Allen is 5-1. His only loss came to the Chiefs, I believe it was, in round one. And unfortunately, if you look at Josh Allen's playoff record, if it's not the Bengals or the Chiefs, he's pretty dang good. I mean, the dude basically makes everyone else look embarrassing, including my Broncos of last year. Dude absolutely decimated us. Trevor Lawrence, after his slow start, has finally emerged as having one of his best years, concluding the season with an 8-game win streak. That's very difficult to do under any circumstances. However, I have to go off of purely what I always go off of because I've played sports. I have to go off experience. I have to go off of playoff experience. I have to go off of hunger. I have to go off of talent. Both teams have insane talent. I think the Jaguars have better wide receivers, but I think Josh Allen does crazy things. Josh Allen is a gunslinger. He won the MVP for a reason, and when he is firing, he's firing. That dude can... I've never seen a quarterback be able to single-handedly turn a crap team around in so many games like Josh Allen does. I'm not saying the Bills are crap overall, but like, it's the Josh Allen effect. Like, if the Bills didn't have Josh Allen this year, they would have a losing record. And he's just crazy. He scores touchdowns that don't make sense half the time. The dude's setting records for rushing touchdowns as a quarterback. Hello. I have to go with the Bills. I have to go with MVP Josh Allen. And as much as I dog on Sean McDermott, he is a good coach, and I think he's a good playoff coach. And so I think the Bills, I think this is going to be a crazy game. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I don't think this is going to be some 7-7 last second. I think this is going to be very reminiscent of the Bills-Ravens game to open the season. But I got the Bills edging out the Jaguars. I'm just saying now it's going to be 38-35 Bills.
Wow. Okay, interesting. All right, so staying on the AFC path, these are two teams that you and I both know and are very familiar with. The Chargers and the Patriots.
Dun, dun, dun.
Who you got?
Well, I'm sorry. I hate the Chargers, but I do respect the Chargers. And I don't hate the Patriots. I've never hated the Patriots except when they would beat my Broncos. But if I look at both these teams, this is the most lopsided playoff matchup. It's the Patriots without a doubt in my head. I don't think this is even up for contention. Unfortunately, the Chargers are coming into this licking their wounds. They have 13 players on their injury report. 3 of them are on injured reserve. Their quarterback's recovering from a broken hand. They have not looked good the last several games, and even their backup quarterback, God forbid, he does have to come in. I know he was playing the Broncos defense, but I mean, he looked horrendous. The Chargers have a lot. They're licking their wounds, and they are not the San Francisco 49ers. I'm sorry, they're just not. The Patriots are going to come in here. Mike Vrabel has completely turned the page around. Drake May is probably the MVP of the year. If I had to guess, he's going to win the MVP. I don't think this will be a close game. This would be the most shocking loss of the season if the Patriots managed to fumble this.
I only have one thing to say, ladies and gentlemen. You know what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels show. I do not have a doubt in my mind that the Patriots are going to not win this game. They have too much talent. Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels are proving to the world what they can do. And, I mean, this is going to be an ugly game. Very ugly. Drake May is going to take his team to victory. Mike Vrabel is going to make the Tennessee Titans regret ever getting rid of him.
I think the first half may be a little bit close because the Chargers defense will hold enough. And then after that, it's no, sir. I think this will be a blowout. I don't even think it'll be close. Last but not least of the AFC side, the Texans and the Steelers. Poor field goal kickers. And before you blame the Ravens kicker, Chris Boswell also missed an extra point that would have sent the game to overtime had the Ravens.
Did you ever think that you would see the Texans and the Steelers playing each other for the wild card?
I mean, as much as I have great respect for Aaron Rodgers, I think he will go down in history as one of the most electrifying passers. I think Aaron Rodgers still to this day hits some of the craziest passes you'll ever see if you look at his highlights. It's just not enough. The Texans defense is terrifying. The Texans defense are going to hit Aaron Rodgers so much he's probably going to retire mid-game. I hate to dog on him, but I mean, the Texans defense has been killer. They've closed out the season with a respectable 6-game win streak. CJ Stroud seems like he's finally having a much better season than when he started, especially after the injury. He's recovered well. Their defense is solid. DK Metcalf is going to punch somebody in the first quarter. It's not going to happen. Give me the Texans over the Steelers.
I agree 100%. I think, like you said, I think that the Texans just have an outstanding elite defense that's really going to keep the Pittsburgh Steelers on their toes. And it's not like the Texans just have like this outstanding offense. They're making it work.
Yeah.
They are making it work. They've got everybody we're firing on all cylinders, and they've just been winning the games. So I'm curious to see how it plays out later on, but I will take the Texans over Pittsburgh.
Now, on the flip side of things, the NFC, obviously for the AFC, the Broncos do have the first round bye, in case anyone was not aware of that. And on the NFC, the Seahawks have the first round bye. So let's go into the Rams and the Panthers of all people. Both Seth and I were wrong. We thought the Bucs were going to make it through, and they did not. Carolina has jumped into it. The young, talented team of Carolina facing the Rams that you got.
Give me Matthew Stafford and the LA Rams. I mean, I feel like a moron after what I said in our last episode, that there was not a chance that the Panthers were going to make the playoffs. I really didn't think it was going to happen. I really didn't. I thought it was going to be the Bucs up there, not the Panthers, but the Rams defense is really good. Their offense is firing on all cylinders. Like they're right up there, top of the NFC contenders. And when you look at the players that they have versus who the Panthers have, and the consistency that the Rams have had all season versus the Panthers, I mean, that's no contest for me. I mean, I think the Panthers will put up a good fight, but I just think that this is a big mismatch.
And I know that the Rams, had a chance to win the number 1 overall seed, and they unfortunately did not close out the season the way they wanted to. But I'm just being real. If you're a Los Angeles fan, you've got the best possible seed of this matchup. If you look at this NFC matchup, you got the best possible team to play against. And I'm not dogging on the Panthers at all, but I would rather play the Panthers over the Bears, the Packers, the Eagles, or the 49ers. Maybe the Packers I would throw right in there as maybe I'd want to play them. And again, I'm not discrediting the Panthers. They managed to close out the season, but they also have a losing record. And that says enough. They've been good and they've been bad, and they've shown signs of good, and I do think that they're only improving from here on out. But of course, I have to go with the Rams. I mean, Matthew Stafford, I think, is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now, without a doubt. And I still think the Rams can make the Super Bowl. I'm not jumping into Super Bowl predictions. I'm just saying the Rams are my favorite team in the NFC right now. The Bears first round matchup. Listen. Of all the teams that me and Seth have talked about this year, I don't think either of us thought the Bears were going to be the number 2 seed coming into this year's playoffs, as many of you at home probably did not. But they're facing, yet again, the Green Bay Packers, and they're facing them in the playoffs. The 9-7 Green Bay Packers and the 11-6 Chicago Bears.
Give me Ben Johnson and the Bears. Never thought I would be saying that, but let's look at this, okay? Ben Johnson has left the Detroit Lions. Do you see the Detroit Lions in this slate of games anywhere? No, you do not. Do you see the Chicago Bears in this slate of games? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Is that Ben Johnson? Is Ben Johnson the reason for the Bears turnaround? Now, if you'd asked me this question 3 or 4 weeks ago, I would have had to have went with Green Bay. But I've got to go with Chicago. Caleb Williams is probably got to be the comeback player of the year.
Oh, without a doubt.
Firing on all cylinders, just poised. Looks like a veteran quarterback. Looks like he's been doing this for years. Then you got DeAndre Swift been killing it.
Yeah.
You've got a fantastic wide receiver core between DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, Luther Burden. You got 2 pretty solid tight ends with Cole Kmet and Colson Loveland. Defense ain't nothing to snooze at either. Right now, the Packers they're struggling. And the last couple weeks has just made me doubt that the Packers are going to go any further than this. So give me the Bears over the Packers.
Now, I will say the Bears did close out the season with a overtime win against Green Bay, and then a 42-38 loss to the 49ers, and a 19-16 loss on a last-second field goal against the Lions. But realistically, I just have to go with the Bears. The Packers were arguably, at the earliest part of the season, I thought the Packers were serious Super Bowl contenders. That has went out the window for me. I did not think Micah Parsons was the glue of this team, but apparently he is, and they have struggled. I mean, the Packers are 9-7 with that one tie against the Cowboys. I mean, they struggled to close out their season. Jordan Love, I still think, is a fantastic quarterback, so please don't get me wrong.
Agreed.
Jordan Love is incredible, and I don't think he gets enough credit. However, the Packers have just struggled, and I think it's more of a coaching problem than it is a talent problem. I mean, they got Josh Jacobs. They still got Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs. I know they lost Tucker Kraft. That would really hurt, but they've still got talented wide receivers. I think they have better wide receivers than the Buffalo Bills. And they're still struggling. Give me the Bears. And just some stats for you. Caleb Williams did set a Chicago Bears quarterback record with 3,942 passing yards.
Wow.
Craziness. He's thrown 27 touchdowns and only 7 interceptions. That's pretty good numbers, especially considering the turnaround he's had. And I just would like to say that if you look at Drake May and Caleb Williams last year, and then this year, the difference between both of them was a head coach change. Ben Johnson and then Mike Vrabel. Crazy what happens. We did have a question that I was going to save for later, but I'm just going to throw it here now. It was from Mr. Cam. He asked us on a YouTube video, one of the episodes, he commented, he said, after the season, where would we place Caleb Williams in quarterback rankings after the season ends? And I don't know if he meant like playoffs or just currently right now, but I just thought it was a good question, so we'll just go over it right now. If the season ended right now, where would I place Caleb Williams? I would place him at a respectable, probably top 5 position, maybe top 7. I think he's still really good. I don't have him like top of the NFL.
I would have to agree. I would say top 7. I would say between 5 and 7 range.
I think that's valid. I mean, he still hasn't shown this is his first playoff. I mean, he's still got a lot to prove, but just his regular season alone is fantastic. The season ended today, I would place him as 5 to 7 range in the NFL just from this season. Now, if the playoffs happen and he absolutely chokes, I might, put him a little lower.
Definitely top 10 though, without a doubt.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. So thank you for that question, by the way. That just made me think of it as soon as we talked about the Bears. Moving on to last but not least, another shocking team, the number 6 seed San Francisco 49ers and the number 3 seed Philadelphia
These matchups
Eagles.
so crazy. Like, this is probably got to be one of the craziest matchups for teams that I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
So who do you got between the 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles?
I'd say Seth and I might butt heads on this one.
Oh, Lord.
But I chose the Philadelphia Eagles.
No, you didn't. What?
I did. Listen, as much credit as I give the 49ers, as much credit as I give for what they've done this year, I think the Eagles have a better defense.
Oh.
And that's the only reason I picked it. I as much hate as Jalen Hurts get, the dude has still won a Super Bowl. He still has a Super Bowl victory under his belt. He's still got talent around him, and his defense can absolutely carry him in this game. The 49ers' bread and butter is scoring a lot of points. I don't think it's going to happen against the Eagles. I think the Eagles are going to shut down their game plan. I think the Eagles win this one.
Whoa, wow. No. San Francisco all the way. Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle. No, 49ers are going to rise to the occasion. I don't think the Eagles are going to win this game. I could be wrong. I've had some pretty bad, bumps this season with my picks, but I don't know. That is just preposterous to me to think that the Philadelphia Eagles, as well as the 49ers, have played all year.
Listen, Brock Purdy is incredible. I really do think he's incredible. I mean, he led them to a Super Bowl appearance. He lost to the Chiefs in overtime. I mean, it's not hard to say he lost to the Chiefs in a playoff appearance. But Jalen Hurts won his Super Bowl against who? The Kansas City Chiefs. How did he do it? He had a crazy good defense. So, I just don't think the 49ers defense is on par with the Eagles defense. That's the only difference. That's the only difference maker I have. I don't think the 49ers defense is strong enough. We'll see. Time will tell. I may be getting hate comments about this on January the 11th at 4:30 p.m. We shall see.
They've won 6 out of their last 7 games.
They have. They absolutely have. But I don't care if you won 10 games to close out the regular season. It's the playoffs.
They have beat two current teams that are in this AFC or this wild card playoff bracket.
They absolutely have.
Well,
I don't doubt it.
Here you see. You heard it here. We picked everything the same except the 49ers and the Eagles, so we shall see. Who do you think is going to win between the 49ers and the Eagles? Drop your comments. Let us know. So just to give people some clarity, if you're not up to the current playoff bracket, like Toby said, Broncos got the number 1 seed and got the first round bye for the AFC. Seahawks got it for the NFC. The winner of the Texans-Steelers game will go on to play Denver. So it's either going to be the Texans or the Steelers. And then the winner between the Buffalo Bills and Jacksonville will go on to play the winner of the Chargers and the Patriots game. So you could have a Buffalo Bills New England Patriots rematch to see who goes to the AFC Championship. Then on the NFC side of the coin, whoever wins the Rams and the Panthers game will go on to play the Seahawks for their place in the NFC Championship. Winner between the 49ers and the Eagles will play winner of Packers and Bears. That's going to be interesting. Very interesting playoff season indeed.
Just letting you all know now, if the Broncos and the Bills play each other in the AFC Championship game, we will live stream that game. I'm just letting you know that now. We will definitely stream that game. I would love to see that. I would love to see the Broncos in the AFC Championship again. It's been 10 years, but either way, that was our playoff predictions. Last but not least, NFL trivia. You You want to go first?
Sure.
I probably won't know this at all.
My NFL trivia question this week is courtesy of my father. Thanks, Dad, for the good trivia question. This week's trivia question is, which I think you got a pretty good chance if you just think about it. Which legendary, keyword, legendary NFL coach said the following famous quote: "Fatigue makes cowards of us all. Fatigue makes cowards."
I have one hit. NFL coach.
Yes.
I'm just gonna take a limb because there's one person that popped to mind. It's probably incorrect. I don't think I could see him saying that, but maybe I'm just gonna go with John Madden.
That is 100% incorrect.
Who?
The legendary NFL coach who famously quoted "Fatigue makes cowards of us all" would be the great Vince Lombardi, ladies
my
and
gosh.
gentlemen. Vince Lombardi.
Oh my gosh. Well,
Oh,
I couldn't have been further from that one.
it's okay. It's hard.
When he said legendary, I was like, who was like really good when Dad was like super into like watching the Cowboys and all that? I couldn't.
And just for clarification, half of the questions that I ask, I probably wouldn't get right. The only reason that I ask the trivia questions I ask is because I truly find it fascinating and that it's worth sharing to other people.
You will probably know this one. I actually didn't know this at all. I was like, oh wow, never knew that. For some reason, that just always skipped me. I was 2 years old when this happened. So
Okay, 2004. All right.
which team drafted Eli Manning in 2004?
Which team?
Yep. I was talking to somebody about this. I feel like you were in the conversation about there was this specific team had like Eli Manning and I think Drew Brees on their roster at the same time.
No, never.
No? Was that never it?
No.
I could have sworn somebody was talking about that.
No, I was talking about Phil Rivers and Drew Brees being on the Chargers at the same
Oh.
time. I thought that the New York Giants drafted Eli Manning. Unless you put the wrong name in there, because I thought that the Giants drafted Eli Manning.
Let me just make sure that I didn't just get lied to by his website.
Because I'm pretty sure the New York drafted Eli Manning.
Nope. Okay.
No?
So
So somebody besides New York drafted
yeah,
Eli
so
Manning?
I was right about this.
Okay, wow.
In the 2004 NFL draft, the San Diego Chargers drafted Eli Manning at the same time that they had
Drew Brees.
and Phil Rivers. However, he refused to play for them and was later
I didn't know
traded.
you could do that.
And was later traded to the New York Giants for Phillip Rivers and additional draft picks.
Wow. I did not know that.
The-
Excellent trivia question.
The first overall pick in the draft, by the way.
Said, heck no, I'm not playing.
He said, I ain't
you."
doing with that crap.
Wow.
I had literally no idea about that.
I didn't either.
No idea. So at one point, the San Diego Chargers did have Drew Brees and Eli Manning on their roster.
Man, could you imagine if he had actually went and stayed? The people that he could have played with? Like
Craziness.
Antonio Gates, Keenan Allen.
Danian Tomlinson.
Like, come on, man. Like, why not?
So there's a fun fact for you. Another fun fact for you this time is actually a fun fact, not an NFL trivia question. This would be a good trivia question, but I just thought it was a cool fun fact because it's, playoff time. This quarterback has thrown the most interceptions in a single Super Bowl. Rich Gannon threw 5 interceptions in his Super Bowl appearance.
Was he with the Raiders at that time?
He was with the Oakland Raiders against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on January 26, 2003.
Shoo.
The Buccaneers returned 3 of these interceptions for pick sixes,
Oh.
contributing to their 48-21 victory.
Well, it's like they always said, offense sells tickets and defense wins championships.
Yep. Well, hopefully you all enjoyed this episode 14 of the Swinney Bros. A quick little note to add before I give Seth his closing remarks. We did manage to just randomly get quite a few subscribers over the Christmas and New Year's Eve break. We got 8 new subscribers.
Nice.
So thank you all for that. We're sitting at 59 subscribers. I was hoping to be at 50 by the beginning of the year, and we're 9 higher than the goal. So clearly you guys are watching our content. You're sharing our content, and whoever you're sharing it with decided to click subscribe. So we thank you again, every single one of you who decides to take time to listen to this episode, turn it on the TV, watch half of it, watch 4 minutes of it, watch the shorts, whatever you do, we greatly appreciate it. And for all the people that always hate on our videos, I love you very much. Thank you for boosting our algorithm. And from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate it greatly. So thank you. Any closing remarks, Seth, for episode 14?
Well, I'd just like to say, thanks for watching. I love going back and watching our shorts. It really makes me feel good to go back and look and see that it's got, at least 1,000 views. That's our bread and butter is our shorts. And really, though, from the bottom of my heart, for the people that actually do listen to us drag on and talk for almost an hour every week, thank you. Much love. I wish everyone a happy new year, and we'll see you next time.
And as always, if you have any questions, anything you want us to discuss, talk about, mention, question, however you want to do it, however you want to see it, just let us know. You can fill out the Google Doc. You can leave a comment down below on this YouTube video. You can comment on the Facebook group, however you want to do it. You can send us both a direct message and say, hey, can you talk about this? Can you send this question? We will at least mention it, even if we have no idea what we're talking about. I guarantee it will be on the podcast. So as usual, we will see you next time for episode 15 of the podcast. Thank you and stay safe.